there's lots of ways to deal with the bubbles. Originally, we started just blowing out the bubbles. Just the oxygen seemed to, as you blow, seems to blow out the bubbles. But then we decided that when you blow, you also have to breathe, and it's pretty toxic. So in the instructions, it says to use a blowtorch. Well, that sounds a little scary for us. So we sell these great little candle lighters in our candle department. So we started using these, and it works great. Just the purpose, the butane or whatever it is, propane, is it burns it. Above it, the bubbles just pop. It pulls the oxygen out of it. So it's a great way to get the bubbles out. One night I was pouring a bunch for my grandkids for Christmas. So I had about 6 of them all lined up on my counter, and my little bitty flame ran out. So I was a little panicked about how I was going to do it, and my husband said, "Oh, I'll get the blowtorch." Well, I thought he was kidding. And I had them all on paper cups all over the kitchen. Well, he came back with the blowtorch, and he just lit it, and he blew it, and a blowtorch blows and torches at the same time. They were beautiful. It blew every bubble out just instantly. So at home, I use a blowtorch, but for this setting, we'll use the mini blowtorch. For those crafters that like to scrapbook or emboss, a small embossing tool works great. It also has just enough air and just enough heat that it blows them all out. And you see that they go right out. So it is a great, if you're doing a big group, if you've got a lot of them that you're doing at once, or you're doing it in a class situation, the embossing tool is by far the better choice. Unless, of course, you've got somebody that will bring the blowtorch. Lint is a problem with the tile boards. There's lots of lint in the air, and so a hair blower does not work. We did try that, and it blows it too hard, and hair blowers tend to have they suck a lot of air, and they get a lot of lint in them. So as you've poured your tile board, it's a good idea to put it somewhere where you're not, or to do it right where there's not going to be a lot of traffic. Lint comes from clothes, obviously, and people moving around. So after I get my tile boards all done, I usually cover them with a piece of plexiglass, or I've even turned a cookie sheet upside down, or a piece of cardboard to just keep the lint from coming in while it dries. One night we were pouring some tile boards in our kitchen, and we have an outside deck that we can open the door and go outside. And obviously this is pretty smelly, and so we had opened the door and gone outside while we were letting it set up. And we'd been into it about 30 minutes, so it was pretty well done. And of course it was for a gift, and it was several colors, and it had turned out really pretty. Well, we came back in, and one section of it had those little tiny flies all lined up in the center section. They only went in the blue section, but they were covered. And we'd been into it quite a while. It was getting pretty dry. So I just took a toothpick, and I lifted out all the flies, and it was stringy. It was enough that it was stringy that had set up that much. But my husband just took the blowtorch and warmed it up just a little bit, and it just melted right out. And nobody ever knew that there were flies in it. So there are a lot of things you can do to correct your mistakes. Once in a while, there will be a low spot, or I've seen some where people have not put enough on, and so they were kind of low. Or if it's sticky because you didn't get it stirred enough, you can pour another coat over it, and it will be perfect.